We've looked a little bit at the back muscles and how they function more efficiently when they're stretched or lengthening. I want to speak a little bit more about the back muscles and exactly which ones we're looking at here. So the back is actually a very extensive system of muscles. There are really 5 layers of back muscles. We're all familiar with the outermost layer, the latissimus and the trapezius muscle. Beneath that, there are a bunch of scapula muscles and then rib muscles and kind of the middle layer. The deepest 2 layers are the ones I want to talk about. The very deepest layer of back muscles, the first one, if you're counting from the deep to the more superficial, is a system of muscles that run from vertebra to vertebra or leapfrog a couple of vertebrae at a time, but still are small and attaching between the vertebra. And this group of muscles is critical because it's acting on the vertebra of the spine in order to maintain the length or erectness of the spine. And we're almost entirely unconscious of this group of muscles because it's postural in function. The next layer is a very extensive system of larger muscles that, beginning at the sacrum at the lowest level, kind of leapfrog up the back to join up ultimately with the skull, forming a quite meaty bundle that together as a group is called sacrospinalis or erector spinae muscles. This group of muscles maintains the support of the entire trunk. So if you're carrying, let's say, a lot of weight, bags of groceries in your arms and your back tires, that's because these muscles are getting overworked and distressed. So these are the muscles that maintain the support of the trunk. And again, because they're largely postural in function and not really under conscious control, we're usually not aware of them. Now, looking at these muscles, you would think that they could very easily pull the head back. They're rather powerful, or at least the second layer certainly is. And acting on the head, they can, in fact, pull the head back. And they could also pull on the spine and shorten. That's what happens when you're having back trouble and the back muscles are overworking. But we've seen that they work properly when they're lengthened. And I want to look for a moment at the dynamics that ensure that these muscles are kept on length. There are 2 elements to that. One is the head itself. The head is sitting on top of the spine, but it's not evenly balanced. It's sort of counterweighted. It's more weight in front to counterbalance the pull of the muscles in back, so that even though the muscles could pull the head back, the head is balancing forward and keeping those muscles on stretch. The other key element is the spine itself. The muscles can act on the spine, and they do act on the spine, but the spine is a kind of a spacing device that ensures that the muscles, even though they can act on the spine, are kept on stretch between the attachments on the spine. And together, those dynamic components ensure that when it's working properly, that those muscles, those 2 deeper layers of muscles that make up the sort of key postural component of our upright support of the spine and the trunk, when they're working properly, that whole system is lengthened in such a way that it works as efficiently as possible. And I want to go back to the procedure we looked at earlier, where we're standing and bend the knees so that we're lowering our center of gravity, to see how we can utilize that system, that position, to bring about a more efficient working of that system and also bring it more into our awareness. So to look at how these muscle systems work, I'm going to do this position again we've done in an earlier video where I let my knees bend, this sort of vertical martial arts crouch. With the knees bent, this puts more length on the back as a whole. The pelvis is working with the rest of the back, so that these deeper layers of muscles that run from the sacrum up to the skull are actually able to get a little more lengthened. There are 2 things about that that are really important. The first is that when this system is more lengthened and working more as a whole, you can actually feel it. These muscles, these deeper layers of muscles, are mainly postural in function. We don't have a lot of conscious control over them, nor are we meant to consciously control them. And partly because of that, they're largely out of our awareness most of the time. When you have this system working more fully in a more integrated way, you can actually begin to feel this. Even a total beginner to this subject will begin to sense that there's a whole system there. That means that our kinesthetic awareness is being activated and we're accessing an awareness of this system in a constructive way. We're not trying to fix anything or trying to feel or identify what we think is the problem. We're actually learning to use that whole system more consciously. And the second thing is that when we begin to get the system working more as a whole, we're getting more length as an actual change in those myofascial tissues that are running the length of the back from the sacrum to the skull. So here again we see that the back muscles are designed to work in an efficient way when they are functioning in the context of these different skeletal components. And the two things, these muscular systems and the skeletal components, are part of a dynamic whole, and understanding that design is essential to understanding how the back works normally. So if you have a problem, we'll tend to fixate on what we think the problem is. And when we try to release specific muscles, we see that it's really difficult to know what muscles are problematic and what we should do about them when you see how complex that whole musculature is. When we understand the design, now we're not going to treat the back. We can look at the system as a dynamic whole that we can not only become more aware of, but use more efficiently as an integrated whole in whatever we're doing.